How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to the house in Fata Morgana. Ooh, it really feels like it's been way too long since I played this. Granted, last time I played it I was sick. Shortly afterwards I was too sick to do much else. And then I had a really interesting end of that week, which culminated in a really awesome rap party for Katawa Sojo, because that is sadly over, but there was a lot of good stuff too. If in case you missed it or just don't keep up with that side of the channel, I did make an announcement. I actually have a new change that'll be happening. It's not huge, but it's something I'm very happy about, so I want to share it. You'll notice at the end of the video that the end card has changed. It is going to be a different picture. It's a custom picture. And he worked really hard with a really fantastic artist. His links will be down in the description if you like what you see, because he's got a lot of great stuff, and he's effectively professional. I think he's still going to university, but he absolutely does this on the side for to keep himself, afloat, and he plans to continue to do so, and it's absolutely worth checking him out, so please make sure you do. Otherwise, it'll be the end card. It's a picture. It's themed after Love. It contains a caricature of myself and two main characters from a book I'm currently writing, but it's slanted in the Love theme, so it just looks amazing. I highly recommend you check it out. I'm very happy with it. But other than that, let's jump into the actual content you came here for. Thanks for letting me take that second. So, last time we're going through the fifth door, which is the real version of the fourth door. It has a lot more humanity to it for sure. And from what I could tell, the curse isn't so much of a touching and you'll kill people type curse. It's more of just a curse of being alive. And I was thinking about it, and I was saying, you know what, maybe his curse is reflective of kind of what the white-haired girl's curse was portrayed to be, which is that his appearance is kind of associated with bad times, and that's why he's considered cursed. And I was also thinking, maybe because he's got the white hair and he's got kind of pale eyes. He very much looks albino. I remember talking before about how the white-haired girl looked too much she almost seemed kind of unreal, which is why I thought she was a vampire first. And I think that's kind of it was unintentionally the point. She wasn't supposed to feel real because she's not. Instead, she was a woman who bore the traits of Michel, whom we are, and was superimposed over the idea of her being in these timelines over and over again, when she was more of a reflection of Giselle, who is the maid who has black hair and green eyes. And it's almost like that's the contrast. It's black hair, green eyes versus white hair, red eyes, almost like they're opposites. Which I thought was really, really fun to play with. And then the white hair, red eyes is also kind of a play on Michel's look, whom he has white hair and light red eyes because of his condition. And then if he's got a condition, it could be considered a curse because it's something that probably crops up every few generations where they have an albino kid and they just associate it with witchcraft because, it was the Middle Ages. They didn't know what they were doing. So, that's my running theory on stuff. And so the story's got a lot more charm to it. It's definitely a lot more crazy. And I have no earthly idea what's going to happen next, but we will find out. So I suppose we should just jump right into it, because I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. Several days have passed since the package arrived. At the end of my third week living in the mansion was drawing near. Only 3 weeks, wow. I guess it makes sense, but it feels like it's been longer already. Michel wasn't getting any friendlier either. He continued to either snub or bluntly dismiss me whenever we crossed paths. I didn't understand why he acted this way around me, but there was a little point in asking when he seemed to think there was little point in talking to me at all. Although at first I had been sure there was some way to get him to warm up to me, the more time I spent in the mansion, the more my willpower began to feel like it was at its breaking point. I could tell myself to stay positive until I was blue in the face, but it would only work for so long. It's true. The one pretty place in the whole house. I'm glad he hasn't covered it back up. Blue moonlight shone quietly through the stained glass window, vainly illuminating some of the room. I hadn't noticed until now, but the room was a stained glass window appeared to be modeled after a chapel. Rows of pews faced the window, below which sat what used to be a pulpit. There was very little left of it, though, and an awkward length of silver was mounted to the pulpit's front face, which what was, I assume, formerly a cross. Upon further reflection, rather than facing the window, the pew seemed to be pointing at the pulpit, or perhaps the cross hanging on it. I wasn't sure why there would be a chapel in a mansion, but I had no one to ask about. For a house of this size, the statue of Christ or the Virgin Mary seems far more appropriate. It's a very well-made chapel, at any rate. I doubted Michael had to build it for himself. There would be no reason for him to cover the window if that were the case. Nor had I ever seen him come to pray. He doesn't seem like one to believe in God. God. I'm not even sure if God really existed, then surely the world would be a much more pleasant, peaceful place. That is one of the contending arguments of why it's hard to believe sometimes, you know? And there's plenty of reasons to believe, and I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't or wouldn't or it doesn't make sense to. It's more of just like, it's one of the things that, like, the more you think about it, the harder it is to really justify the excuses you sometimes hear. No unfair disparities in money or power. No senseless misfortune. I certainly wouldn't have found myself here either. But God was evidently quite fond of giving mankind trials, so he would probably tell me with a straight face that this was one too. Or perhaps we simply had a false impression of him, and he didn't actually give us anything. He merely sat back and watched from somewhere far, far away. It wasn't his job to bring peace to the world or ensure our laws were fair. That was all mankind's responsibility. What is God? What are angels? I have no idea. Maybe the Bible has answers. Why should I pray for someone so far away? How do I know my prayer is even getting there? But still, it's not like I have any other options. Interesting. It's kind of interesting to see a character going through a crisis of faith. That's not a topic that's often covered, or at least not directly. Oh, is this the past? Because she's not in the mansion. Don't you worry. It'll all work out, promise. I already know where I'm going to work. It's a really prominent noble house, way out of reach of some small-time merchants like us. You never know, this could be my big break. Oh, I'm just kidding. Don't look so worried. I'll be just fine, honest. I'll make enough money for us to get back on our feet. Oh, for goodness sake, I can handle it. Leave everything to me. You just wait. I'll make our family into something you can be proud of. I'll be fine. Yeah, say bye to Mom for me. I probably won't be home for a while. What? You're afraid I'm going to make some careless mistake? I'm not that airheaded. Oh, poor child. I can be as refined and elegant a young lady. The nobles won't even know what to believe anymore. If you don't believe me, then how about I give you a little taste? How are you doing this fine morning, master? Your morning beverage is ready, prepared with the utmost care. See, how about that? Not bad, huh? What? You really think it sounded forced? That's cute. I was the daughter of a merchant who ran a shop in the capital's main street. My father had passed away in a plague, so it was just me, my mother, and my older sister. I would lie to say business was going well. We struggled to squeak by day after taxes, but we couldn't just abandon the shop and leave the capital either. So we tried to make the best of what we were able to take in between the three of us. Then my sister fell in love with a moderately well-off aristocrat. My mom and I were supportive of her and her desire to marry, but their union almost fell apart because she was not suitable for him. Merchants were hardly the lowest class. What we lacked instead was wealth. We needed another source of income beyond what the shop took in. If only we had money, my sister could get married. If only we had money, my mom wouldn't have to work so hard. If only we had money. If it was then that someone from the distinguished Bollinger estate approached me. He said they were in need of Abigails and would love to have me. He said that if I agreed to work for them, the Bollinger estate would take care of my family. Interesting. Generally speaking, noble houses took Abigails from other lower-ranked noble houses. It was unthinkable for someone of my status to receive such an offer. so I took it as a once-in-a-lifetime chance and accepted the offer. That sounds fishy, though. I just pray that nothing bad happens to my sister, and that Mom is getting enough money to live comfortably. That's all I can do. They're nobility. They have plenty of money, enough to spare some. The light shining through the stained glass window began to grow murky, fading into blackness. It felt like a message from on high, that no, my prayers would not be answered. The blush-white illumination shining down upon me disappeared as clouds blocked the moon. Oh, come on. You don't even want to look at a sullied woman like me. Oh, for heaven's sake. I never asked to end up like this. Poor girl. And here he is. Michel. Their nobility. They have plenty of money. Enough to spare some. Oh, come on. You don't even want to look at a sullied woman like me. Oh, for heaven's sake. I never asked to end up like this. Giselle was sitting on one of the pews in the room with a stained glass window. Just looking at her, you might have thought that she was offering a prayer, but the words coming from her mouth were anything but prayerful. They were filled with resentment. They have plenty of money, a sullied woman, and I never asked to end up like this. So this is what bequeathed that facade. Most likely, money's what she's after. All I need to do now is confirm my suspicions with them. Just what awful secrets will I uncover? I gave Giselle, sitting in the pew with her head drooped, a cursory glance before leaving the chapel. I had somewhere else to be. The bitter cold outside the air felt like dozens of needles flowing into my lungs. It had been so long since I stepped beyond the mansion's walls. A thick mist canopied the night sky, blocking out the moonlight. Naturally, the heavens did not rejoice at my leaving the house. It had been 10 years since I had seen the mansion from the outside, and it hadn't changed one bit. A gloomy scar upon the earth shrouded in darkness. Hardly the kind of place someone would enthusiastically approach. Nevertheless, that was better than that house. It was better than that house. Yes? Who is it? Michel. What? Michel Bollinger? Just one moment. I'll be right there. Come in. It's a humble abode, but make yourself at home. Wow, I must say, this is rather unexpected. Just one word, and I would have been up there in a heartbeat. And how was I supposed to do that? I am regrettably fresh out of carrier pigeons. Right, yes. My apologies. This man, living in a small cottage not far from the mansion, had been hired by the Bollinger family. His job? To watch over me. That said, we never actually interacted. He was tasked with keeping track of whether I was still alive, whether I remained in the mansion. The monthly package from my family was delivered to him, which he then passed on to me. It was insipidly convoluted, but it was indicative of how much they wanted to avoid anyone learning about me. Well then, what can I do for you? The manservant was visibly rattled. Afraid, too. But not because of the difference in our social rank. I had a pretty good idea of what he had been told about me. He was afraid of me. Or more specifically, my curse. People fear that which they cannot comprehend. Not just children, adults as well. They fear demons, witches, curses, anything impure or not of this world. But I had long since gotten used to being viewed as such. It didn't sadden me. It didn't disappoint me. It didn't pain me. Some things were just too foolish to concern yourself over. Though it certainly doesn't make me feel good either. I was on some level annoyed. That woman's appearance at the mansion had created ripples in my once tranquil life. So before I got to the real reason for my visit, I decided to take out a bit of my frustration. Raise your head. There's no need to be afraid. I don't know what you've been told, but I promise I don't bite. How rude of me. You're right, my sincerest apologies. Your job is to keep watch over me. If the mere sight of me has you trembling, what will you do if I try to run? I would have little trouble escaping. That would be quite unfortunate. What would I ever tell your mother? I'm not sure that would end well at all. You could lose everything you've been paid so far. In fact, you might be lucky to get out with your life. Surely your mother would not. You are aware of who you're dealing with, right? Ah. Michel, the cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family, who made a pact with the devil. I don't need a blade to take your life. You wouldn't even make it back to report anything. Have mercy, Lord Michel. Please, do not leave the mansion. Please spare me. Only joking. What? I don't have the power to kill by way of curse. The man fell silent, but the look on his face said, You are cursed, though, aren't you? Once someone's got an idea planted in their head, it's nigh impossible to get rid of it. I am so cursed that anyone can see it, that I need to be locked away in the dark mansion. I am here because I have a question for you, not to warn you that I plan to run away. A question? From me? Yes. Approximately 3 weeks ago, a black-haired woman came to the mansion. Tell me what you know about her. I was told there'd be an Abigail coming, but that's all. I don't know anything else about her. I swear, that's all I know. I haven't been told anything else. I believe you. I never thought they would tell you anything. Right. He had been hired to observe me, but that's all he was, a hired hand. He wouldn't be privy to the Bollinger family internal affairs. Take this. A letter. I need you to deliver it to my mother. You could have left it in the box of this month's package, and I would have collected it when I dropped off the next one. I am in urgent need of information. Will you do this for me? Yes. Why, yes, absolutely. I'll fetch the delivery boy tomorrow morning. Much appreciated. Good night. You too. Do take care. Bollingers seem really fun. Just lovely family. Lovely. I'm sure their reunions are spectacular. Lord Michel. Yes. Is it true that you don't have... Would you like me to show your mouth shut so you can never open it again? Not at all. My sincerest apologies, Lord Michel. That was horribly disrespectful. Good night. Okay. I want to look at that again real quick. Is it true that you don't have a soul, maybe? That might be what he's going to say. Cursed I most certainly am. Yeah, it sounds like he's been cursed by, like, the label of a curse, not the actual curse. Like, the curse is the fact that people think he's cursed. My mother's response arrived just 10 days later. The delivery boy must have pushed his horse quite hard. It was almost exactly a month after Giselle had moved in. This must be the ruination that comes. Instead of a mob of people claiming that the white-haired girl's a witch, it was the letter. And shortly thereafter, on a bone-chilling night, everything came crashing down. The rift between us grew deeper, and the wall between us impossibly high. When I lay bare the scars in her chest, and mercilessly plunged my knife into them. Yeah, that sounds like it's gonna be just barrels of love and fun. Oh, it's gonna be so great. All right, I'm paranoid. I always have to check now. Interesting that it put it into the middle, but it makes sense with the way the type was appearing in the text. Yep, still no more secret messages. I think we're just beyond that now. I keep expecting the witch to try and intervene somewhere. How did we get to this point? I hate everything. My spirits were getting darker and darker, like they were slowly sinking into a deep morass? I don't know what that morass actually is. That's a word I don't think I've ever seen before. It had been at the mansion for a month. I had been at the mansion for a month. and every day since it felt twice as long as it should have. I had been optimistic at first. I'd even felt I had a little hope in me that Michel and I could get along. But it hadn't taken long for that hope to be shattered, and the cheer look locked away inside me. We lived in the same house, but we never spoke anymore. On the few occasions we did cross paths, he just gave me a cold glare and nothing more. Scorn and suspicion in his eyes. Whenever he looked at me like that, I felt like though my throat was being constricted, like I was deep underwater and running out of air. Like my very presence in this world was a crime. I never could have imagined just how agonizing constant rejection was. I started despising others, despising myself, despising the world, convinced there was no one who could set me free. I considered running away from everything rather than live like this on this another day, but I would have done so long ago if that were actually an option. If they found out I had fled, that I had acted outside their wishes, my mom and sister would pay. I had succeeded in allowing my sister to get married and my mom to live comfortably. I had given them happiness. I couldn't take that away from them again. Not after what I'd gone through to do it. No, cut that out. Getting way too depressed, Giselle. Pull yourself together. It's not who you are. Be positive. The negativity didn't only come from my interactions with Michel either. No, there seemed to be some kind of terrible presence within the mansion that twisted people's hearts. The mansion was in fact a bit of a local legend, which I had been informed about before being sent here. People claimed it was cursed, that an evil witch had lived in it for many, many years. Michel joked that he was the witch, but I didn't believe him. I'm not usually one to believe in magic or curses at all. But being here so long, I can't help but wonder. Anyway, things can't go on like this. If I was to remain in this house, if the situation needed to improve a lot, I was going to lose my mind if things kept up as they were. I was ready to give up once, but I'm going to try and closing the distance between us again. If I could get him to open up even the teeniest bit, then maybe that would make living here a little easier. I wasn't going to try and make the best friends or anything, just repair our relationship enough that being around each other wasn't torturous. I've got my work cut out for me. How do I even begin that conversation? Heck, what is that conversation even going to be about? Maybe I should hold off, do it another day? No. I've made up my mind to do this, so I should get to it quickly. The longer I wait, the worse things are going to get. And eventually, there won't be any fixing anything. We need to talk. We need to be in the same room for more than 10 seconds, and we need to get to know each other. He needs to know that he's not the reason I have something to hide. Okay, let's do this. I made my way to Michel's chambers, which he had told me to stay away from. My stride was slow and ponderous, but at the very least, I did my best to keep some semblance of a smile on my face. This is the one time where I really like to have someone to give me a little nudge. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Pardon, Master? There's something I'd like to talk to you about. Master? I guess he's not here. The door wasn't locked. Oh no. Oh, idiot. Don't do this. As was the rest of the house, his room was shrouded in darkness. The only light came from the candle in my hand. Master? Are you there, Master? Not a good idea. I guess I missed him. It's probably best I don't stick around for long. He's already got less of a stellar impression of me. I don't want to imagine what will happen if he thinks I've been snooping through his room. Yeah, I should get out of here. I spun around on my heels, taking a step toward the door, when I caught sight of an object draped in a black sheet. I knew I had to get out of there as quickly as possible, but I was intrigued by that object. Oh, your curiosity, girl, it's gonna kill you! Something he kept hidden in his room I was forbidden to enter. Maybe it was a clue to discovering Michel's secrets. I reached my hand down toward the object, knowing good and well I shouldn't. Was it because I wanted to learn more about him? Was it because I wanted to tear down the veil he hid behind? Or was it... no, the whispers of the witch? Probably. Because it seems like the worst possible thing to do. Whoa. Who was that? What do we have here? I pulled off the sheet, revealing a framed painting of what appeared to be a noblewoman with a porcelain white skin. What stood out about her, though, was that the woman's hair was as pale as her skin. And then... What? I noticed something else. Wide gashes ravaged the canvas, damaging her face beyond repair. What the... I imagine it had once been a painting of a beautiful woman, but there's hardly a trace of that left. The only feeling it inspired anymore was a deep chill. This damage was not accidental, it was deliberate, angry, and the contempt and men emanating from within the frame was stifling. Thick, suffocating blackness seeped into me. Why would anyone? She was surely the most beautiful woman. Angelic, even. The white-haired girl's origins, I guess. A storm of questions assaulted me. Who was she? Why had her face been carved up? Why had the painting been covered? What had happened? If the painting was carved up out of malice, why would it be still hanging in the room? That's what I'm curious about. Who could have? There's only one person that could have done this. Michel. Why on earth? You saw it, didn't you? You saw the painting, didn't you? Huh? You entered my room without permission and you saw the painting, didn't you? Angelic, you say? There's nothing angelic about that damned woman. I scrambled to make some excuse, but nothing would come out of my mouth. All I could do was tremble. Yeah, girl, this is... Oh, no! Oh, no. Why did you enter my chambers? Michel. What were you looking for? Answer me. My mouth wouldn't move properly. I couldn't make my voice come out. It was like I wasn't even in my own body anymore. The wisps of air that were drawn to my lungs were expelled as hoarse gasps. Okay, how do I do this again? No. My breaths were shallow and rapid. Yeah, that's it. It's like, this is definitely reminding me of the Beast. I was inhaling, but I wasn't getting any air. I was terrified. Terrified. Terrified, terrified, terrified. Of his eyes, his voice, his feelings, and of the knife he was holding up to me. Of the terrible past I was chained to. The man's voice, the man's very flesh, terrified me. What were you trying to find, and what were you planning to do with it? Answer me. Another thing you refuse to tell me then. No, I'm trying. Nothing's coming out of my mouth, though. Everything's so bright. I can't catch my breath. I can't breathe. That's fine, though. You don't have to tell me. I have a pretty good idea. An idea? What do you mean? Money is what brought you into the Bollinger estate. And it's what brought you to me, too. There are countless people who would love to see that house fall. And a noble family fears nothing more than disrepute. You were, I presume, approached by someone scheming in the Bollinger's downfall. No. And as it just so happens, the Bollingers have a very unfortunate secret, one that they are quite desperate to keep under wraps. Me. Someone I suspected I might still be alive, so they sent you to dig up information about me. My very existence threatens to tear down that house. The cursed youngest son of the Bollinger family, Michel, who made a pact with the devil, who is supposed to be dead but is very much alive. You sweet-talked your way into that house and into information about me and my present situation. And you meant to trade that information for money. I bet whoever it was put quite a handsome price on it, too. Or maybe you're the one plotting to ruin the Bollinger family is you. No. No, that's not true. Then enlighten me. Please, hear me out. I didn't know anything about you. I wasn't sniffing around or trying to bring you harm in any way. Then tell me, if that's not the reason you're worried you wormed your way into the Bollinger estate, and that's not what you're doing here, then tell me what is. Tell me why you came to this mansion. You want me to tell you about that? No way. That's asking way too much. Tell me. I swear, I haven't done anything wrong to wrong you. I simply wanted to make our life together a little more comfortable. To bring some warmth to this frigid relationship we have. Well, you went and bollocks that up. That's the only reason I wanted to find out more about you. I must assume I'm right then, Giselle. I must tell him he's wrong. I must tell him that I meant no harm. But I can't say anything. The merchant's daughter becomes an Abigail of noble house? Could you come up with a more obvious lie? Your father's the one who... Wait, how does he know that I'm from a merchant family? You look perplexed. I may be imprisoned in this house, but not free to move about as I please. But I have my ways. I know everything. Everything? Then he knows about that too. Oh yes, I do know. But... Don't. In your quest for money. Don't say it. You slept with my father. Ooh. And this is where we start seeing a little influence from the Nellie and Mel story. Eesh. In that moment, Michel plunged his knife into my heart. Figuratively, right? He carved through my chest with those words, causing me to completely lose control of myself. In a panicked frenzy, and probably screaming all the way, I knocked the man aside, and ran and ran and ran. I could hear a clap of thunder in the distance. Oh, how I wished a bolt of lightning would come crashing down upon me. Maybe if God burned my tainted flesh with divine thunderbolt, I would get rid of some of the filth. But the jagged streaks of lightning cascaded across the dark clouds did not strike me, only creating restless grumbles in the sky. Poor girl. Oh, poor girl. Why? I knew that if I fled the mansion, I would likely be causing trouble for my mom and sister, but I was helpless to stop myself. All I could do was run from all that threatened me with no regard for the consequences. Before long, small droplets of rain began falling, which soon grew heavy enough to penetrate the forest canopy. I reached the ground where I stood. The downpour drowned my tears and my cries. Because I had rushed from the mansion without even putting on a cloak, each cold winter droplet stung bitterly against my flesh. But the bite of the rain was like a warm embrace compared to what I had been through before. Michel had spoken the truth. As much as I wanted to deny it to avert my eyes, reality was forever engraved in this body. No, I don't want to think about it. But I had no say in the matter. Get out of my head! That's very interesting. See, here's the thing. He's the one that's gonna be like the snotty one. It's gonna be the Lord who wants to play around, but of course it's the maid who gets in trouble for it, you know? Because like, it's not like they can punish him for being freaking just douchey. Come over here, Giselle. Oh, okay. I ask why you asked me here so late at night, master? Oh, I just wanted to have a little chat. Care for some wine? Come closer and I'll pour you a glass. Yeah, this just screams trap, Giselle. Come on. I had this wine imported from up north. They had a very hard water, and I like it rather tart. So it leaves quite the lasting impression on your tongue. And yet goes down so easily, you can't seem to stop. What do you say? Have a sip. Or does your expertise as a trader allow you to evaluate a wine's quality without tasting it? No, but, Please, Giselle, don't trample all over my good graces. Very well, then. I will have a sip, master, but no more. Have you ever considered growing out your hair? Having a long hair made it difficult to do my job. You're not a merchant anymore, though. You deserve to look like the woman you truly are. I have no doubt longer hair would accentuate your natural beauty. It's a gorgeous shade of black, so deep a man could get lost in it for years. I would contrast the color of your skin fabulously. Heighten your eyes, your cheekbones, your nape, your shoulders, your chest. I should get going. Oh, but we're not done talking yet. I would not want the lack of sleep to interfere with my ability to work tomorrow. Thank you very much for the wine. It was delicious. No need to be so cold-hearted now. From the moment I first laid eyes on you. Master? That's enough fooling around for one night. Now, don't be afraid. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. Oh, I'm sure you wouldn't, Mr. Creeper. I simply wanted to express my love. Let go of me. I only came here to work, nothing more. The first time I saw you, I thought it would be a tragic waste to leave you to wither away working at some little street-side shop. Stop. You can't tell me you don't know a merchant girl had no place in a house like this, even as a servant. There's only one reason you would be allowed here. No, I swear it never even crossed my mind. It would seem you're even more innocent than you look. But if you've figured it all out by now, haven't you? No, let go of me. Stop this. Keep your voice down. Do not shout, Giselle. If anyone were to find out about this, you would be the one shouldering the consequences, not me. But you're a maid, and I'm the master of the house. Whose word do you think holds more weight? Don't worry, I won't do anything to hurt you. I promised your family would be exceptionally well taken care of. Your mother will have the comfortable life you wanted for her, but you know what will happen if you raise a fuss and make a fool of yourself. Not only will your family not get any of our money, and not only will your sister not get to marry, you'll all spend the rest of your lives on the street. How could you be so cruel? This is blackmail. Blackmail? For a merchant's daughter, you don't know much about trade, do you? Then let me give you a little lesson about market value. The goods you're after, Giselle, are not cheap. Understand? Now, let me see that beautiful body of yours. I hate saying it. He was an older man, so I hadn't expected him to be very strong. But I couldn't break free of his grip. I found myself entirely at his mercy. Beneath the gaudy outfits lay a hungry beast, and I was seeing the creature's true colors for the first time that day. The aging man ran his disgusting, slobbery tongue across my exposed skin. Everything he placed his hands upon withered away. Every piece of flesh he pressed his lips against putrefied. Ooh, that's an interesting word. Rotted, decayed, rankled. I trembled in revulsion, and the man laughed. He seemed to interpret it as something else. I wondered what kind of place hell was. If hell's wardens only flayed and carved their prisoners, I would have preferred that instead. I would have rather been sliced into tiny chunks, cast into hellfire. I would have chosen eternal torment over being touched by this man another second. But I didn't get to choose my hell. Eventually the man forced open the gates I had been holding fast, and spread his festering death inside me. Oh gosh. It's one of the worst things ever. Seriously, people who are like this are like literally not even worth the scum of the earth. I think I'd rather have pond scum in my eyes than have these people around me. It's horrid, and it sucks. And it sucks because they get away with it so much. It's horrible. Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't feel like I don't have to say that, but like, can you imagine, like, with how much people still have to deal with it nowadays? Back then, in these times when people could legitimately get away with it and never get caught, like, it must have. It's disgusting. Listen to me, Giselle. It's in both of our interests to keep this between the two of us. If you can do that, I'll continue to do good by you and your family. Oh, don't look at me like that, please. I'm thrilled to have you here in this house, Giselle. She has long since lost her mind, after all. It's torture just being in the same room. And my sons, they hardly ever come home. But you, Giselle, you give color to my dull life. You make it exciting once again. Now going back to your room, I'll be waiting here at the same time next week. Such a dirtbag. I couldn't escape from that man's grasp. Not when he used my family against me. Some weeks I would just not go to his chambers, one of my feeble means of resistance. But when I did that, he would send another Abigail to come find me the next day. I couldn't ignore his summons when he got other people involved. And then, when the two of us were alone, the mask would come off, and he would discipline me for not showing up to take care of his usual business. On good days, he would leave bruises in inconspicuous places, my abdomen, my inner thighs. But he went as far as carving a word into my skin with a knife. Oh my gosh. Harlot. That was why I was afraid of knives. That was why I was afraid of men shouting. I wasn't even sure what to regret anymore. I was in far too deep. There was no turning back the clock. I even considered taking my own life on more than one occasion. But every time that thought crossed my mind, happy memories came with it. Back when I was just the three of us girls in the shop. Life may not have been easy, but it was never dull either. I didn't want to end my life at its absolute lowest point. I wanted, if just temporarily, to go back to the way things were back then. That objective was the only thing that allowed me to keep going. When I was in his presence, I tried to convince myself I was merely an object. I had no emotions, so he couldn't hurt me. I was merely a vessel, a construct of flesh and bones. His hands couldn't reach my heart, for it was not connected to my body. Doing that made it a little easier to bear, but the reality was, it was impossible to completely sever my heart from my body. You're Giselle, aren't you? One day, the mistress of the estate stopped me in the halls. She had supposedly once been quite beautiful, but now she was only haggard and bony. Her skin dry, her eyes sunken, her hair faded and stripped of its luster, her head down, her cracked lips barely moving as she spoke. Age didn't appear to be the only thing working its merciless magic on her either. There seemed to be something eating away at her from the inside, too. Something that could burst at the lightest touch. Yes, I am Giselle. Is there something I can do for you? The mistress rarely ever left her chambers. I'd been told that it had been years since she attended family supper. So what would bring her to come looking for someone like me? It's you. What? Wasn't sure I wanted to know the answer. You're having relations with my husband, aren't you? You are, aren't you? Madam? You wretched creature! She was telling me the truth. One of my trusty maids caught a glimpse of you through the crack in the door. She saw you with him, you filthy rat. You seduced my husband. You devil, you conniving witch! You don't get it, do you? You don't even realize how grievous your sin is, do you? Someone, anyone, restrain this girl. She's a demon, a devil. Tie her up and hand her over to the clergy. No, that won't be enough. A witch like you have to burn her bones, scatter the ashes, or she'll just come back to life. Yes, yes, execute her. Kill the woman, burn the witch, seize the piece she's stolen from me. Cursed. It's cursed. Aha. This house is cursed. Not only has it taken away my daughter, and now it's trying to take away my husband. Oh God, please shine thy cleansing light upon this house. I knew it would be a waste of breath trying to talk to her. She was not of sound mind. There was madness in her eyes. I didn't even have to make a fuss about it. It happened all on its own. If there was no way around it, then I should have just done it myself after the first time. Unfortunately, now it does seem like she wanted it to happen. I didn't have the energy to argue with her, or to cry, or to shout. Before long, the crowd began to form around me and the sobbing mistress, and in it stood him. I assumed he would just stand back and watch. But much to my surprise, he stepped in, and with an embarrassed look on his face, he tried to settle his wife down and convince her not to have me executed. Maybe he did have a heart after all. Or maybe he just wanted to save face. Regardless, instead of being burned at the stake, it was decided I would be sent away on some remote forest. One of the previous Bollinger family heads had purchased a mansion there long ago, but it had been abandoned because of the stories people told about it. They said a cursed witch dwelt in the home. She had returned to life after being executed, and now skulked about in the darkness. It was the perfect place to banish a sinner. And so, accused of adultery, I was in a carriage on my way out of the capital the next day. Wow. Dang. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I hope my mother and sister are alright. The two of them will believe in me, even if no one else does. The wooden wheels turned, carrying me away to that cursed mansion. Just a silent coachman and a single, sullied passenger. Looking out through the window, I could see the city walls slowly fading into the distance behind us. I doubted I would ever set foot on this land again. Never crossed the Grand Point again. It was a saddening reality, but at the same time, I felt a surge of relief. I had finally escaped that house. I had finally escaped from that man. This sense of freedom slightly lessened by the weight of everything else I was feeling. Well, fetch, Giselle. A good while after we left the capital, the coachman handed me a letter. On the sheet of parchment was a rather startling revelation. There was someone else already living at the house where I was to reside. The Bollinger's youngest child. But the letter didn't say why he'd been sent to the cursed mansion, only that he was there. Beyond that, the letter only made a single request. That I look after him and not ask any questions. So I'm not just being sent out to the middle of nowhere. I still have work to do. If I look after whoever's at the mansion, then they'll do the same for my family? I don't have much say in the matter either way, I suppose. The carriage rattled and shook as it traveled the stony path and bounced the ground inside it. I resolved to take back my life. The peace I had once known. The cheerfulness I had lost. And to do so, I would forget. Locked away my memories. Bury everything terrible that had happened to me. Cast aside those memories and find my smile once more. I have no idea who I'm going to find there, but they couldn't possibly do anything worse to me. I'll greet them with a smile, and do my best to build up a decent relationship with them. I figured, since both of us had been banished to the same cursed mansion, there'd probably be other things we had in common. And so, I would forget it all, and get my life back. Get my smile back. Oh yeah. And that was everything that led up to me arriving at the mansion. All the wounds I never wanted open again. Back. I didn't want to think about that. I've been trying so hard to forget about it. I wanted to forget all about it. So why? Why did you have to make me remember? All I did was believe that we could make things work. Why? How could you? God, I can't take it anymore. Poor woman. Once the memories had broken free, they all flooded back with perfect clarity. Exactly how he ran his hands across me. Exactly where he hit me, where he cut me. Like I was going through it again, this very moment. The rain was cooling me down on the outside, but so much nauseating heat had built up in my gut. I vomited all over the ground. I threw up and I threw up and I threw up until there was nothing left but bile. That's the worst, by the way. I've been sick enough where that's happened, and it's just pain at that point. And when I had nothing left to expel, the strength evacuated from my knees and I collapsed. I didn't know if everything was blurry because of the rain, or because my eyes had decided they were done looking at anything. The whole world twisted before me. Oh, Michel's no different. My attempts to get close to him, to always keep him a smile on, it was all a waste. The look in his eye was terrifying. Like he didn't believe in anything at all. So he probably wouldn't have believed me if I had told him the truth. If he's convinced I have an ulterior motive, there's probably no changing his mind. Such cold rain. If I lay down here and go to sleep, I wonder if all the warmth will eventually drain from my body. And then I'll decompose and become part of the earth. You know, that might actually be nice. I'd like that. I always thought I didn't want to die. That I wanted to go back to the way things were. But who cares anymore? I did my best after all, and that still got me nowhere. Cheerful Giselle, it was all just a farce. And when I'm dead, all my worry for my mom and my sister will fade away with me. Oh God, I doubt you have a place for me on high. I am, after all, an unclean woman. Which, just malarkey to me. Getting raped does not make you unclean. It is not. Like, I refuse to believe that. And I've given up on life altogether. But even if I can't get into heaven, that's okay. I want release. The rain pitter-pattered down through the leaves overhead, chilling my skin. The cold spread through my flesh and into my bones, my heart and lungs and stomach freezing me like a block of ice. My consciousness drifted away from me, and the world slipped through my fingers. More than I fear, I felt relief. Utter black. And that, I was sure, was the end of me. I doubt it, though. I think something's gonna happen. Oh, wow, maybe. And that, I was sure, was the end of me. I am, even now, putting her through a harrowing experience. Digging up memories she locked away, the past she wanted to pretend never happened, and laying it all out before her once more. But I must get her back to who she once was, even if it means forcing her to endure this. She must remember everything. Because I need to know. Why did she become the maid? And what secrets does this house hold? Real quick, let's check the backlog. Yep, nothing yet. You're Michel. Yes, my name is Michel. I am not the white-haired girl. The person you were searching for was the man who once hurt you deeply. Me. Why? What was her why referring to? Why I hurt her? Or why I'm here? Perhaps. Why I didn't show up until now. Not having an answer for her, I clenched her cold hands in mine. I wonder, were her hands this cold that night too? There's still more we need to see though, and it's still too soon for me to apologize. When she's gotten everything back, only then can I. Once she's reclaimed herself, that is when I must tell her. Now, let us return to the past. Our story has only just begun. No matter where we thought or what we desired, no matter what we lost or how much pain we suffered, we must not shut this door. Oh boy. Oh boy, what on earth? Perfect darkness embraces us once more. I can see nothing, not even the woman beside me. but I shall not let go of her hand. I love that. I do not want her to slip away from me. I do not want to lose her. She wakes up. Interesting. Interesting. However, I think we're going to have to leave this for next week. Ooh. I'm so interested to see how this goes on. I literally thought she was going to die right there. So she's not, which means there's a whole other ball game going on now. What on earth? I hope she can heal, man. I know this is full of tragedies and stuff, but maybe the memory's probably going to still be terrible, but maybe there's going to be, like, an avenue for her to find peace in the end if she remembers who she is. But we'll have to find out later. Yep, that was wrong. Last week I was saying I'm feeling like we're getting close to the end. Nope. It's even just told me there's still a lot more coming here. So I guess we'll just keep pressing on and try not to think about the terrible, terrible things that happened to Giselle. Fetch. Like, literally some of the worst things in the worst ways. Ugh. It's terrible. It's just terrible that that kind of thing can even happen. Like, it just hurts. It hurts my soul just thinking about it. And yet we also need to remember that, like, because it happens doesn't mean we should shun people. Like, sometimes we can start walking on eggshells around people who suffer a terrible tragedy or affront of nature. And we forget that they're still people. They still need lives. They still need hope. That's all Giselle wanted. She wanted to move on. But I wonder if people who survive something like that struggle to even move on. Not just, like, themselves, but other people, too. I don't know. I don't know. It just hurts my soul. But I'll have to think about this for a little while, and I'll have time to. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. Of course, it's always wonderful. Well, maybe the stories aren't always wonderful, but they teach us a lot. They get us to think, and that's really what's important. So I'm really grateful that you're joining me for it and that you've stuck around. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this. It's sensitive subjects, though, so granted, I'm not sure how detailed people are going to get or how much soul-bearing there's going to be for this episode, but I'd still like to know what your thoughts are, if you have any, and, we'll press forward. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel. As always, it's a pleasure having you. Look forward to seeing that new artwork in about 10 seconds, because it's going to be awesome. Oh, I'm so excited to have it as part of the channel. So thank you so much, and until the next video, watching me, or happy to see me next. I'll see you there.